Before we get on to the meat of this video, I just want to mention one thing, and that is this. We got an announcement. So Sunday, May the 28th, it's this month's edition of the True and Funner Show, and the special guest will be Squid the Beast. So yeah, Squid the Beast will be my next guest for this month's edition of the True and Funner Show. And we got a lot to talk about, obviously, you know, with the Sith Roll, obviously shut it down, the announcement of the Master Ball coming to the game, and so much more. So yes, join me on YouTube on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as I will be live streaming my conversation with Squid the Beast on everything involving Pokemon Go within that happened in the month of May, and what we are expecting to happen, or we probably will have the announcement at this point, what is going to happen in the month of June regarding Pokemon Go. So, with that bit of news out the way, let's get on to the meat of this video. Grab your drinks and popcorn, folks. This is going to be a long one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. It's the boy Troy. For today's date is now Wednesday, May the 17th. So it just turned, Wednesday, literally 30 minutes ago. So this video is going to be a very interesting video. Give me a second when I cut that off. Much better. So as I was saying, this is going to be a really long video because what happened is this. I basically went around a lot of local Discord servers that are, within the Metro Detroit area, and even one that is based in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana. And basically, here's what I basically said to them. And I said to them the following. Greetings all. What I want to do is to get some opinions on how you feel about Pokemon Go's currently. As you all should know, remote rating is pretty much dead at this point. Let's be honest, it is. And the morale has been extremely down in the online community. So we talking Twitter, we talking YouTube, we talking Twitch, etc. ever since. However, despite all the protests and the feedback and the petition that's been given out, okay, this part was not in the survey, but y'all get, I'm trying to set the ground here. Despite all of that, nothing has been changed. There's nothing that's been uplifting involved in the game based on the voices from the online community. But now we get back to what I said. The word is that the online community does not make up the majority of players that play the game, which is why I'm going to different local Discord servers to hear from those who aren't exactly on Twitter, who don't extremely follow Pokemon Go YouTubers and etc. If you fit this description, then please share your thoughts on the following. And then I asked the following questions. Do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the demise, pretty much the demise of remote rating? Or let me be more accurate here, the heavy decline of remote rating. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote rating? If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? And are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? The purpose is to see if the feelings of the offline communities matches what Niantic thinks the status of the game is. I don't think so, but I want to hear from you. Again, if Discord and Facebook the only thing you use online, then please share your thoughts based on what I asked above. So, we got a lot of comments. We got a lot of replies to this. So, I don't know how many Discord servers I post this in, but I got a lot, and I, made sure to thank all that I saw. And of course, if I missed any or more were posted after I done this video, then I apologize in advance. So basically, what's going to happen with all these comments is this. Not only am I bringing it to you guys in video form, but I will also submit this to Niantic themselves. And of course, I'm going to create a summary report of what everybody says. But for now, I'm just going to read all what everybody have to say. I'm going to react to some of these, not all of these, but you get the point. So let me get closer to the computer and let's go through these replies. And again, there's a lot of them. So grab your popcorn, folks. So let's get into it. And before I even get to it, I just want to point out that none of the names will be shared in terms of who shared these replies. All you need to know is that, they are legit. And I got them from different Discord servers. And, I'm going to respect their privacy and not share their names, their Discord names. Yes, I know it's their Discord names, but, you can't be too sure with what's going on in the world, wherever the case may be. So I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to mention their names in my video, nor in the report that will be given to Niantic. So now let's get over it. Good morning. I feel as pointless as our boycotts to show Niantic we are serious. they simply don't care about the hardcore players. Now, again, before I go on, I'm reading based on what people are saying. What people are saying does not exactly reflect how I feel about the game, and nothing like that. I have no influence on what they say, so I'm just going by what they say. So let me continue on now. I was doing maybe 95% of my raids remotely. I work a lot of hours and just don't have the time to do them in person. Since the change, I've done 2 remote raids. I have 1 pass before they raised the rates and 1 free from my 7-day rewards. Admittedly, I have spent a lot of money on the game in the past. I will not spend money on this game. I will not use any of my coins on remote raid passes. I have done a couple of raid hours in person since the change, but I am unable to control my schedule and usually can't do in-person raids. There's not been an increase in person in our community. So yeah, some of these grammars may be off, so if I'm like sloppy with the reading, I apologize in advance. We used to love to get raid trains going on a Saturday. Life has changed. The world has changed, and that's just not a thing anymore. Our raid trains went remote and now they're all gone. It honestly makes me sad. I am so disgruntled with Niantic that I barely play. And trust me, I used to play a lot. Rumors are going around that they may stop the game. Now I'm gonna jump in here. I have not heard of these rumors, so I doubt that that's legit, but let's continue on. I have been a hardcore player since the beginning. I may not be to the level that the YouTubers are, but I do okay, which is cool. No one in my group was battling me for 40, so I beat them all. I made 50 in a few months and did not previously have the XP to do it. That did cost me an arm and a leg, but apparently I'm more competitive than I would have expected. I hope they keep the game going and get their heads out of the clouds. Other complaints would be the typical, the uneven level of shiny. Goldfish Seattle, I got 2, and 1 was from research where my friend got 40. I'm assuming, no, he actually went to Seattle. He went to Seattle rather. I don't do the daily instance as players have multiple birds and I can't catch one to save my life. Vegas was a debacle. Niantic's response to complaints are as fake as they were on the stage of the first Go Fest in Chicago. So before I continue on, I also want to point out that I posted, these questions on these Discords before the release of the Master Ball, before the demise or the announcement of the demise of the Sith Road, and things of that nature. So you may see some of those referenced in the replies, because it wasn't like they were immediately answered when I post them. So there's that. Now continuing on with the next one. So I do not follow any Pokemon Go creators or watch content related to Pokemon Go. I came back in the game in June of 2022 after a several-year hiatus after I had a brain injury. Ooh, hopefully you recovered from that pretty well. So they answered my question about, do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the demise of remote, or what's the term I said? The heavy decline of remote raiding. And they said absolutely not. I have friends that are all around the world that I used to raid with. Now we are unable to raid because more often than not, one of us will be out of remote passes. Also, I use remote passes because I am disabled. This has left me feeling increasingly isolated from a community that I love. Our remote raid encounter is also a shell of what it used to be. Do you go out to do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. The nature of my disability makes it very difficult for me to get out and raid. There's also the difficulty of finding enough people who can gather at a particular place and time to take down a raid boss, such as the 4 to 5 it takes to defeat Tapu Fini. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? I will say that the Cleaver raids had very few players show up in person at one of the prearranged locations that has been announced on our server. There were 2 of us present. This is in contrast to Gyarados Raid Day, when I was in a group of about 10 people and there were many more wandering in. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? PvP is broken. I made Ace 2 seasons ago, and due to the bugs that made it impossible to play fairly, I have not played it for a season since. Research breakthroughs are terrible. Is Parasect and Furfur really on the same level as Gibble or Goomy? Okay, the Furfur one is opinionated. Same with the Gibble and Goomy part. But let's move on. Spawns are getting boring with the same Pokemon showing up from season to season. If I see another Young Goose, I might scream. Okay, I had no issue with that. Continuing on, the overall bugginess of the game and lack of communication is making it hard to want to play. Things like forgotten raid bosses, switchovers, incorrect or poorly communicated event bonuses, and features being removed makes the game so much worse in my opinion. Honestly, I love the game, but in the past couple of months, it has gone downhill fast. Our community has been rebuilding fast, And my fear is that everything Niantic is doing will make it so much more difficult to keep this momentum going. I also want to note that this is simply my personal opinion, however, and not an official opinion of the server's leadership, referring to their Discord server, which I appreciate them for saying that. Continuing on with the next feedback. From the start, I always felt Pogo is a fun thing to do while already going out for errands and stuff. So I guess that categorized me as more just a casual player, which is true, but it does seem like they're trying too hard to punish people out or push people out as if no one has a life and everyone lives in a densely populated area with plenty of activity Pogo rides, which is pretty unrealistic to expect even for the most hardcore players. Moving on to the next one. The remote raid changes were definitely gone wrong, and there's no two ways about that. The prices are way too high, and the damage cuts are too high to make remote raiding anywhere near a valuable option for people in rural areas. Revert the damage nerfs and lower the cost to 150 for 1, which is what I said, and maybe 400 for 3, which is also what I said, and you got something we can work with. Again, I have no influence on any of these responses. I did say that price, I did suggest that price range in the past, multiple times. So I just want to throw that out there. I have nothing to do with their replies. I did not influence them in any way, shape, or form. So I just want to throw that out there again. Let's move on to the next reply. They haven't enough remote raid damage yet. I say 10 remote raid limits a day and lower the cost of remote passes for a compromise. Which is true, they did not revert the damage nerf, not yet. But they haven't done it. Now that I think about it, yeah, that is accurate. They have not done that. Now, continue on. Again, somebody answering my question. Do you feel the game is at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? No, I just raid less overall. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? Not available, I guess, but also no from what I can see in local groups I'm in. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? I like PvP, but Niantic is killing that too. Moving on to the next comment. I can already tell my voice is like going down the drain. Personally, I go out and raid a little more now than before because the cost reduction and seemingly added XLs, candy XLs, slash, for remote raids or RC odds. But there's a unique situation since I have 2 family members that can help me take down nearly all legendaries, and failing that I might quickly lose interest. It's undeniably crappy with mobility restrictions or other disabilities to both nerf instance and doubling remote raid costs. And it's clear that there's been a minor, I'm gonna butcher this word, exodus last few months as many on my friends list have gone MIA. Moving on. I do use Twitter, but a majority of my Pogo experience is here or other PvP related groups. I'll share my answers though. So when they say here, Discord. No, the first question I asked, no, but I don't feel it's primarily rating for this answer. I don't feel it's primarily rating for this answer rather. Number 2, no. I've been off mass remote rating for over a year and all my raids are done in person, but no increase because in-person rating, even with an established consistent community, is still limited for free to play because you are heavily restricted on coins for raid passes. There is essentially no way other than paying money to have a chance to do more raids even if you did them in person, which is true. Number 3, yes, I honestly see more people go out in my community, okay, that's good, but our dedicated players has been committed, and now that others have no other choice but to raid in person, at least they know there is a local dedicated group for meetup. Okay, so that's good, okay. Number 4, I like all aspects of the game, but there are heavily limited / paywalled. There's no way to earn more than 50 coins a day, no way to earn raid passes, not for me, now or not. I'm not sure which one they try to say there, but moving on. No easy way to earn poffins. Some XLs are seasonal and hard to obtain, where XLs is essentially impossible to obtain. But the biggest thing I don't like is the game never gets fixed. This coupled with the continuous money grabs have left me just playing the vanilla game, which is fine, but makes the rest, to me, seem pointless because I know I'll never get the full experience, which makes me play less often. Alright, moving on. Again, I asked the questions. Do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? Not at all. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? No, I haven't done a single raid since the nerf, despite having done thousands before. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? No. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? PvP, but Niantic's killing that too. I believe I read that already. So, actually, no. So that's a different one. Okay, I'm about to say, wait a minute, that last answer looked familiar, but no, that's a different one. All right, let's move on. Do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? I do the same amount, just free passes. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? Yes, which is interesting. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? And then they said lack of new features. Hopefully the upcoming feature they're testing helps with that. So obviously they are aware about the content creator, some of them who were sent out to Seattle, that fiasco. Moving on. Do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? Can see 5 gyms from my house and haven't noticed any increase of in-person raiding. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? Constant breaking of game, limitation of coin earning options, XL's RC being so hard to obtain, XL rare candies being so hard to obtain are all major negatives. Okay, moving on to the next one. Do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? No, but remote raiding is just a small component of that to me, as I didn't do many raids anyway. Okay, to me the bigger issue is the difficulty of keeping the game fresh and interesting for 7 years. Raids haven't been fun for me in a long time. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? I still love exploring with Go, as do I. I travel a bunch and it's a great tour guide for finding interesting things when you're in a random city and want to look around, which is true. I like PvP and still play casually and watch a tournament every now and then. I wish there were more meta changes, and I have no ability to compete in Master League, but those things don't bother me too much as I no longer care about competing at a high level. I also like elite raids. They're a nice way of getting to see people in my local community again, and every month or two feels like the right cadence. Okay, cool, okay. Moving on. Many people are at this point of the end of their goal life. So it's meant to say of there, they say if there, so that's a mistake. 7 years in a game is a huge time for any game, but when you play that long, it also makes it tougher to give up. You develop friendships and routines, but you also get exhausted and bored, so you start to look for either a reason to continue, new content, or a reason to quit. I personally know 3 people I enjoy playing with Crit, okay, and I play for friendships. If you don't have the friendships to continue and no game improvements, you just diminish life cycle tremendously. I think Niantic knows this, and they know they don't have any good ideas to improve game, so they are doing their Hail Mary to get in-person friendships at cost of online community. Problem is, it's harder to get those back after a 3-year COVID pause, which is true. Smart play was to continue to build online communities while incentivizing, I'm assuming, in-person raiding. They just screwed up. Now, again, I don't remember when this was posted because, again, they announced the whole Master Ball fiasco, and then, of course, they might probably not on Twitter, so they heard about the new features being tested and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. Moving on to the next one. Answering my first question, no, I think it's pretty low. The second question is about the same for me. We have always done raid hour in person. We actually have lost some numbers. We used to have to do 2 to 3 lobbies with the remotes. Now we're looking to hit 20. Number 3, I love Sith Roll. GBL just doesn't work, so I do that casually while I do something else. The Sith Cup were amazing, which is true, and I hope something comes up and saves that. My community is also part of the ambassador program, so we were really excited to do the Sith Roll journey and the check-ins. It was fun to see our community level up and continue to grow even when a decision happens that we feel hurts the game. But now Sip has shut down and it hasn't been communicated to me what's next. So I don't know what to tell our community. So this person was probably a part of the ambassador program. So that's really interesting. So yeah, hopefully they receive some news about that. And hopefully there might be a Sip Roll replacement. I don't know at this moment in time. But hopefully there is a Sip Roll replacement. Because yeah, we do need a spot to host local tournaments in my opinion. Moving on. Answering, my questions with this one. No, I don't raid more. I definitely raid less because it's harder for me to host with daily or green passes, and I don't join any remote raids anymore. Our local Discord is dead. Ouch. The people out raiding either have family or friends with them, or alt accounts. I'm assuming that's or, but that's a typo, which is fine. No one is meeting up more in my experience. I enjoy PvP and was only grinding things for Factions Master League, and now my motivation is zero because Sif is dead and GBL is broken. Even if GBL wasn't broken, the Great League meta is RPS and stale and needs move updates. GL used to be my favorite league, Great League, and now I opt for Ultra League and Master League. I went free to play for moderate spending after the remote raid nerf, and every decision they made since has made me feel good about not spending anymore. I used to buy Calm Day $1 tickets for about 10 people each time because it was a nice way to brighten someone's day for cheap, which is cool. Okay, appreciate that. Nice. All right, moving on to the next reply. Do you feel that the game is at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? They didn't answer that one, so I'm not going to try filling the blank for them. Do you not go out and do raids more frequently since the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? No change here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. If anything, it's less now. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? General bugginess in PvP currently. So there's that. Alright, next one. First 3 questions. No, and no. Last question. I'm not a PvP fan and only do it when forced by research. I enjoy spending time with my buddies out and about doing the events I'm able to take part in. I hate feeling like we're getting nickel and dime to death for seemingly every little thing lately, which is more or less kind of true. Things that once were free, like midday special research as an easy example, are now stuck behind paywalls. They may be little things, but they're adding up, plain and simple. I truly believe Niantic team is in a state of denial, either as public perception, trying to put lipstick on a pig, that's funny, as private reality, or both, worst case scenario. That pig one, that I remember, that is kind of funny. All right, moving on. Like, obviously, what that I have is solely, and I'm gonna butcher this word, anecdotal, and I can't guess what they're looking at. But just going off of raid hours, we barely fill one lobby these days if there's a desirable Pokemon compared to when we used to have multiple. And even elite raids, attendance is only because they can't be remoted and drops off sharply after the first few. We didn't have too many at Reggie Drago today in Plymouth. Moving on. The South Livonia raids typically fill up during raid hour, unless it's the second week of the same thing. Elite raids today didn't fill up to max at any I did so far. Can't get anyone to raid at any other times for the most part. Alright, moving on. Very similar response to somebody else, which is no, not really, and no for my first 3 questions. I play some route, walking my dog every day, mostly buddy stuff. I would like to raid more locally, but find it very difficult to do. There is little interest these days. I am working towards powering up Pokemon so my family and I can attempt to duo or trio raids. I like PvP, but have found it increasingly not worth serious investment. I gravitated more and more towards trying to maximize dust and candy instead of ranking up. It's also kind of deflating to see that spoofing, multiple accounts, and other things specifically against Niantic's rules seems to be allowed, if not encouraged. Okay, I don't know about that, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not going to spoof or cheat good, and I'm not going to invest serious time or money in when the game seems to only become less player friendly with time. Finally, I think the Sith Road shutting down encapsulates the situation perfectly. The game feels like it is dying now, and I believe this is due to Niantic's decisions. These choices have always felt a little out of touch with the community. Now they feel adversarial. How do you pronounce that word? I probably butchered that. Moving on. With that said, I think you will find that the sentiment towards Niantic is the same regardless of where you are asking for opinions. More or less that is true. It's fairly obvious that optimism towards Niantic and Pokemon Go has been declining for quite some time now. Many communities are a shell of what they once were thanks to the pandemic and recent changes by Niantic. Further proof is the Sith Road. Pokemoners and other Pogo related communities are scaling back operations or shutting down. The support and interest in Pokemon Go is clearly in decline. Okay. The death of remote raids is just a part of the problem. It feels like Niantic does not care about this game anymore outside of a means to make money. Judging by the Pokemoners data mines, The dev team is in shambles and every update is a mess internally. Go Tour Vegas was a poorly thought out disaster. The Masterwork research had a month/month and a half time gate just to give them more time to make the encounter screen, which still wasn't ready in time for some players. Every other event or new feature is catastrophically bugged on launch. Gimmighoul was broken on release despite being coordinated with TPCI. They didn't add Regidrago to the game in time for its elite raids, and then forgot about compensation for the is that supposed to be my rad issues it has for a month and a half, and not being Regieleki has similar issues, and not before Regieleki has similar issues. Excuse me. The Blanche event had a buggy T-posing Blanche and didn't have the costume labyrinth for hours. They keep taking away announced bonuses from events or launching events with unannounced bonuses. PvP is on light support. It keeps going on and getting worse and worse, and nobody seems to care. If it's not broken, it's just anti-consumer. For the most part, the remote raid nerf were just a doubling of their prices. Boxes have been steadily declining in quality and rising in price, no matter how many regular items they added to them to try and hide it. La Vesta was hyped until the event started, and its hash rate was 1% at most. The recent paid gold battle ticket was basically a scam that took all day to finish if it didn't make it impossible by forfeiting even a single battle to save time or get glitched out of one. My motivation to play the game has never been lower, let alone to go out and raid in person, and outside of maybe elite raids to get the new guy. I'm sure many people feel the same burnout I do. I do not spend anything on this game anymore unless there are tangible improvements. Moving on, someone said that this is an interesting question. Even this server has been a bit quieter since the announcement, so I think morale is low across the board. No one is working on coordinating Regidrago raids, which would usually have happened by now. For me at least, I'm raiding in person more than I was, but less overall. Basically, I do raid hours and raid events and assume I won't be able to muster enough people for a raid at any other time. Moving on. Yeah, I skimmed the subreddits and I don't think I'm truly angry like a lot of people on there are. I have no clue what it looks on there. But as someone who only started playing during the pandemic, my play experience has been just slowly losing features I like one by one. Free weekly remote passes, the weekly box in general, cheaper remote raid passes, more robust egg pools. Moving on, I uninstalled. Niantic has managed to suck the fun out of the game in so many little raids, death by 1,000 cuts if you will. Moving on to the next one. I don't play anywhere as much anymore. I don't do PvP and I think the game is dying. Might take another couple of months off and see what happens later. Moving on. Here are my experiences. I was a hardcore player back at the beginning. I left for a couple of years because I was extremely bored with the same Pokemon regions. I used to do raids in person, but then I didn't care about those raid bonuses. Coming back, lots of new Pokemon, and I started remote raiding. Between Pavilion and remote raiding, I have been meeting people from all over the world, and that has been amazing. Obviously, that has cut way down. I like the special in-person raids, but the same 1-2 months later? Come on, bring back something that was around before that was actually useful in the meta. Shutting down Silph Road is devastating. That pretty much says to me that Niantic has abandoned the game. That was the central resource for players to get down into PvP and concentrate on hardcore collecting. I can't believe they would defund that. It's like the Encyclopedia Britannia of Pokemon. Alright, moving on. And we almost done. We almost done, by the way. The last development that is making me PO'd is the clear cut back on rare candy. I soloed 5 3-star raid bosses in the last 2 days. Wow, and got a total of 0 rare candies and about 20 pink potions. I get those from freaking gifts exchanges rather. It is beyond my understanding why they keep making the game harder and less rewarding for committed players. I totally understand why people online are talking about a deliberate effort to kill the game. I would like to get into PvP and started collecting the meta Pokemon, but it's too hard. Several of the best PvP Pokemon are only available from special events or climbing up through league play. Moving on. Totally agreed on egg pools. I keep getting nothing but Tyrogues and Tortugas and Sudowoodos and Rockruffs. I walked a 12-kilometer egg and got a Larvitar. We just had an event 2 weeks ago where they were literally all over the ground. Moving on. Games been downhill since COVID started. Alright. Games been downhill since COVID started. It was fairly obvious Niantic's been holding back events that was actually give what a lot of people wanted. high shiny rates, regionals, etc. Just so they could wait until the pandemic was over and have people out again, but so far nothing's captured anyone's attention like it did with events pre-pandemic. No point meeting with anyone when I just sit in queue on Pokebattler. PvP to me has always been obviously been made the scapegoat end goal of collecting in the game, but it's never been fun to me, so any of the recent events catering more towards that side, classic community days included, to just feel doubly pointless to me, or doubly pointless to me. Shutting down the Sith road and obfuscating more of the data from the data miners is an obvious sign of Niantic trying to strong arm more proprietary control in-house, which always sucks and sucks even more, because without Sith road, there's no one to call them out on their BS when they do things like forget to enable shinies for certain events, etc. Limiting remote raids and upping the price without including actual content or a new way to play is even more signs of their corporate overlord BS, which happened to the custom routes functionalities that were in the data mine like years ago. Peridot is obviously Niantic's attempt at saying, hey guys, we can actually make a good game. It's not just the IP, guys, for real. And failing on launch. Just weeks worse and worse every year of corporate execs trying to push the most minimum valuable product of a game out without any actual care to the people who really plays it. And it still sucks because the IP is so strong, it still makes money regardless of what they do. Moving on. I quit playing Pokemon Go maybe a year into COVID and was actually a very casual player. I quit due to a general lack of interest combined with losing some functionality that was gained during COVID, namely the remote raid aspect. Being a casual, remotes were basically the only effective means of raiding I had. I spent a few bucks a month for incubators, coins, but that was pretty much it for spending. Once I was out for a while and saw others talking about various aspects of the game changing, reverting, or disappearing, it was kind of the nail in the coffin for me. I haven't uninstalled, but I also haven't opened or even updated the game in probably 2 years. My timing may be off either way. If a casual like me was frustrated at losing out on a relatively easy/cheap remote raid pass back then, I could easily see how more dedicated players would be really ticked off about it. Moving on to the next one. Admittedly, I've been making more of an effort to do things in person, which has been pleasant, and I'm sure is the point. But I thought it was really cool to get to do raids with people in Taiwan, the Netherlands, New Zealand, etc. And that definitely doesn't happen anymore. Moving on. I feel like they're punishing people who have to work or live in remote/rural areas for not being able to get out and raid. And just because you go out to a park doesn't mean that other players will be at the park when you go, which is especially true. I feel like they could have found some kind of reward for raiding in person, rather than punishing people who can't play the raid Niantic wants them to. I think the game is in a complete mess, or money grab, excuse me. Let me try that again, I messed that up. I think the game is a complete money-grabbing train wreck now. They have made their stance clear and obvious about their players. They care about their money and nothing else. I have stopped playing and don't plan to start anytime soon. I do not raid at all now since deleting the game. I saw one raid in my town with people in the lobby prior to deletion, and that was 2 people for what should be a 10-person raid. No thanks. Also, 3-hour community days are kind of hard on people who have to work. And, I already gave my stance on that situation, so I'm not going to, touch that one. Moving on to the next comment, or reply rather. Do you feel that the game's at a good point right now after the heavy decline of remote raiding? No. Do you go out and do raids more frequently since the demise of remote raiding, or the heavy decline of remote raiding? My daily, as in a daily free pass, and that's it. And that happens maybe 50% of the time. If you do go out, do you feel that more people go out for raiding or no? No. Are there any other parts of the game that you like or don't like? PvP, when it works, I like it. Completed quests and time research is okay too. Don't like battling in gyms or gym wars. Moving on. Old gym system were better. Changed my mind. Well, I ain't gonna change my mind because I actually agree. If they had kept it the same structure, high CP get kicked out last, but make it so you couldn't have duplicates, that would have been fantastic. There's no skill to gyms anymore, which is obviously true. Reworking the gym, moving on to another comment. Reworking the gym system could potentially be a big catalyst to get people out more. I need to hear more about that one. I'm having a hard time believing that, but I am open to hear that one more. Moving on to the last one here. Yeah, the limit could be less by get them wanting to encourage people to go out and explore. So they don't let you pay to do more, which I know you do a lot. But raising the prices, yet again, since we're moving the discount on 3, it's just being greedy and making more money off those who can't get out to raid easily, including those that joined the game during the pandemic. So that's all the comments that I have. Now, looking at this, it's more along the lines of the morale is down. Not a lot of people are out like, you know, things were before the pandemic. And some people actually believe that once the pandemic got started, that's when the fall was starting for them. So there's that. But there are some people, not a lot, but there are some people, based on what I read, who go out and they still do raids, and there's other people out there with them. So, okay, that's good. But looking at, based on what I saw here for the responses, and I can already tell more are coming in, even as of me recording this, the majority, based on what I gather, is the morale is down with the offline communities as well. Now, again, this only covers some parts of the Metro Detroit area and one community in Indianapolis, so I don't know about the rest of the world and their local communities, whether they outrated like crazy now or the morale is up. I don't know. So, again, if you guys know, let me know in the comment section below. Again, you know, I want to hear more from those who are more into the local communities and the offline communities rather than those who are on Twitter all the time or are in Training Tips live streams all the time or in my live streams or watch my videos all the time. You know, I already know what you guys think. I want to hear more from the local communities, the offline communities, because again, the belief is those individuals, they're the majority. They represent the majority of Pokemon Go players. So I want to hear from them. Do they think the game is good? Do they think morale is up? Are there more people out raiding? So I want to hear this from them. And if you're also a content creator watching this, like, rather hit up your local Discord or go out and ask, you know, Pokemon Go players, like, yo, what you think about the game? Are you doing more raids? Are you seeing more people doing raids? Like, you know, get feedback, you know, so, because that's what this is all about. Because if the online community, you know, Twitter and Reddit and the ones who signed the petition, in combination with the offline community, those who are really about the local communities and not really on Twitter, but they on Discord because they want to be local, whatever the case may be, if both sides share the same sentiment, which is morale is down, they don't like where the direction is going, then yeah, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. But if the majority actually feels that morale is up, that more people are raiding, then this side, the online community, I mean, it's a defeat because the majority won. So there's that. I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know this is this boy New Jake Aspie, aka New Stupid Name Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.
Subscribe. Thanks, man. Do it.
After you subscribe to the channel, make sure you click the bell icon so you never miss a new video or a live stream ever again. Thanks, guys.
Lewis the trainer, articulating paint. With my tongue, I done things that people said I can't. Now they rank 'em with the elite, but it's for the people, and victory is part of defeat. Cause when you get back on your feet, then you try again. Learn from mistakes, show 'em that I got what it takes, and I'm dying to win. I'ma hit and move away.